Thousands of migrants are trying to breach the barbed wire dividing the two.
안녕하세요. 오랜만에 영상 찍습니다.
And the Polish Prime Minister says the
오늘은 화요일 비가 많이 오고 날씨가 갑자기 엄청 추워졌어요. 이제 겨울이 왔습니다, 여러분. 감기 조심하시고요. 건강 관리 잘 하시고요. 스트레칭이랑 팔굽혀펴기 하겠습니다. 계속 한의원을 다니면서 지금 담이 오는 데를 풀어주고 있는데 스트레칭이랑 이런 거 열심히 하셔야 됩니다, 여러분.
I'm really right on the German-Polish border. Poland is actually right that way. And essentially what the Germans are doing, because so many of the people who are coming across, their ultimate goal is to come to Germany. So they're stepping up checks here at the border. You can see that there's one truck that's being checked right now. Obviously, what the border police here is telling us is they say that they are coming across more and more people who are coming across the border here to Germany, and they say almost all of the people that they are encountering who want to claim asylum here in Germany have come to the European Union via Belarus. Now, of course, all this, as that massive standoff is going on there at the border between Poland and Belarus, where the Polish government now says they believe that between 3,000 and 4,000 people, mostly from the Middle East, are now camped out at that border. And really the big escalation in that standoff that's been going on, which the European Union calls hybrid warfare against the EU by Alexander Lukashenko, the Belarusian strongman, is the fact that now there was a very large group that at the same time tried to push through that border. That, of course, happened yesterday. There were some very dramatic images of that going on, with some people trying to cut through that.
운동만 하려고 하면 왜 이렇게 피곤하지?
Footage that happened as well. The Polish Prime Minister was actually at that border this morning, and he said that Poland was doing all of this in its national interest, trying to prevent people from coming through, but also, of course, to protect the borders of the European Union. But this certainly seems like something real, right? A standoff that is not going to go away anytime soon, as a lot of the folks who are there are camped out there, and the European Union accuses Alexander Lukashenko of what they call state-sponsored human trafficking. They say that the Belarusian regime is luring people from Middle Eastern countries to Belarus and essentially telling them that they could cross into the European Union. Of course, that is not true. And from what we're hearing from the Polish government, they say that they are going to stand firm because they believe, they say, that Alexander Lukashenko is trying to blackmail them. Rosemary?
All right, many thanks to Alfred Pike and bringing us up to date on the situation there. Appreciate it. Well, as the situation at the Belarusian border escalates, another potential flashpoint led to a rare phone conversation. The Kremlin confirms CIA Director Bill Burns had a call last week with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The call was reportedly intended to convey growing U.S. concerns over Russia's military buildup on the border with Ukraine. Some inside the Biden administration are said to be worried Russia could be preparing for an invasion or simply trying to intimidate Kiev. We are tracking a major development in the Biden administration's fight against ransomware. The Justice Department says it seized $6 million in ransom payments from a major cyber attack that targeted nearly 1,500 businesses around the world. The DOJ also filed charges against a Ukrainian man accused of raking in millions from the ransomware attacks, including a crippling one during the July 4th holiday. A second man, a Russian national, is charged with conspiracy to commit fraud and money laundering. With the year-old conflict escalating, disturbing reports of targeted arrests in Ethiopia's capital. We'll have the details just ahead.
The Aramco Team Series is looking for you.
Join my team.
Come with the A in amateur. Bring your A game.
Bring your energy and help your team compete for $1 million prize fund and play all 3 days of an official LET event. This is your chance to play alongside the pros. Join the conversation on Instagram. Use the hashtag ATSTeamUp. Find out more at AramcoTeamSeries.com. The Aramco Team Series. Bring the energy.
When you're on a motorcycle, you're experiencing the world in such a different way. When you hit the open road and there's nothing but kind of the sunset that you're chasing, it really does give you a sense of what it means to be alive. My name is Lauren Trantham, and I'm the founder and executive director of Ride My Road. Ride My Road is a fundraising organization. We primarily operate within the motorcycle community to raise funds and awareness around the topics of human trafficking in the United States. In 2016, I was going through a divorce, and it was a really tough time for me. And so I decided to jump on my motorcycle and take my camera. I did 10,000 miles across America. I photographed 40 survivors. That was really how I began this journey, was more as a personal project as a photographer, with just this idea, this thought that can we heal a broken heart through helping others? Survivors are literally the best among us. They have persevered and have so much resilience, and we have so much to learn from them. We look at vulnerable people and think that maybe they're just cast aside or they're not important, but I think really we need to look to them if we want to move forward on issues like human trafficking.
Tech for staying fit.
From kind of the push of a button, it turns into an interactive home fitness platform.
Tech for athletes.
These sport algorithms are really easy applicable to other sports.
Tech for new realities.
When people go in there and they're in that virtual reality environment, they end up forgetting if they're even working out.
This is Tech for Good.
I'm Christy Ristow. Meet the minds behind the technologies keeping athletes and everyday people in shape.
Tech for Good. Saturday on CNN. In association with Samsung.
Nicaragua's president and his wife, the vice president, taking part in a celebration after securing another term in office. Sunday's election, though, has drawn sharp criticism from the international community after Daniel Ortega cracked down on his political rivals ahead of the vote. The US joined other nations in condemning the election it called undemocratic and threatened action, including sanctions, to promote accountability. An African Union envoy says a plan to ease the crisis in Ethiopia could be reached by the end of the week. Former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, the UN Monday. Meantime, Ethiopia's Human Rights Commission says police in Addis Ababa appear to be arresting people based on ethnicity. Witnesses say Tigrayans are being targeted. Sama Abdelaziz is in London. She joins us now live with the latest. Good to see you, Sama. So what more are you learning about this situation?
Well, Rosemary, let's start with that diplomatic activity, because there is a flurry of activity here to try to really de-escalate tensions in Ethiopia as quickly as possible. You mentioned the African Union envoy, who's been in place there since Thursday, visiting multiple cities. Yesterday he was in the Tigray capital. Today he'll be visiting more cities in the north. And what Obasanjo told the United Nations is that there is a small window of opportunity here to bring down the temperature, to try to de-escalate these tensions, because again, the African Union envoy saying that both sides, both Prime Minister Ahmed Abe and the Tigray rebels, recognize that their conflict is a political one and that there can be a political solution. But what's happening on the ground? Well, just last night, Prime Minister Ahmed Abe gave another speech to government officials, to his supporters, to the military, and he again appeared defiant, digging his heels in, saying that he would be able to defeat these rebels, push them back. No indication there, again, of any direct talks. All of this is happening through diplomatic channels. And of course, on the side of the Tigray rebels, also digging their heels in, threatening to attack the capital if no political resolution is found between these two parties. And you have to remember, Rosemary, all sides here are accused of horrific human rights violations. That's why you heard the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations say, and I'm paraphrasing here, there are no good guys in this conflict, there are only victims. This is a conflict that's played out for a year. 2 million people have been displaced. Thousands been killed, and now we are in the most dangerous and risky chapter yet, because the fear here is over Addis Ababa, the capital, being caught up in that violence. That's a highly dense residential area. What would that mean? The United Nations says the risk of this turning into all-out civil war right now is very high, Rosemary.
All right, Sam Abdelaziz bringing us the very latest from London. Many thanks. Well, the NBA champs visit the White House, but a future NFL Hall of Famer is still in the doghouse. State Farm responds to the Aaron Rodgers vaccine controversy. That's ahead.
People say focus on the bigger picture, but sometimes the biggest impact on the world comes from the smallest parts. Here at NGK, that's harnessing the surprising power of ceramics. Our business began with small yet tough ceramic insulators used on high power lines, helping electricity flow around the globe. This led to the creation of ceramic filters for cars that make the air cleaner, and a sub-nano filter that can separate CO2 from natural gas composed mostly of methane. Always looking for new ceramic innovations, NGK has developed hyper-compact NAS batteries which can store megawatt levels of power for sustainable renewable energy. We are also developing a battery that is so small and thin, it can fit inside almost anything. Enercera enables standalone wireless capabilities in the next generation of smart cards, and it will also enable a wide range of IoT devices to connect in the future. Day by day, we use our ceramic expertise to find new and surprising ways to make big changes in the world for a better future.
People used to think creativity was out there. Distant, ethereal, only for those with their heads in the clouds. But we know that's not true. Ideas cross our minds every day, and each one is a spark, a force, the beginning of a possibility. And what makes you creative is what you do with it. It's where you take it. It's whether you bring your inspiration to the right place that breaks limitations to ignite it, grow it, nurture it, share it with those who will transform it into a game, a story, a world, a pioneering leap that could light countless sparks for millions more, powering the infinite ecosystem of human creativity for generations. And let's not forget the businesses that drive our ambitions. It's why now more than ever, we need a home, a hub, an incubator for all those who understand, who dare, and to believe in the future of their spark.
Connect the world with Becky Anderson.
It all starts here. Changing, fighting, creating, connecting. That's why we're here. We live here, we work here, we're from here, and we'll go wherever the story takes us.
I'm Becky Anderson in Tehran.
We are in Jerusalem. Real news that shapes our world. Exploring not just what's going on, but why.
I just want to press you on one further point.
Getting perspective on this region from this region. Places that many of us know, but few of us get to see. Observing countries on the move, still rooted in tradition. It all starts here, and that's why we're here, bringing you the world from our Middle Eastern hub.
Connect the world with Becky Anderson, tonight on CNN.
In the hub, where East meets West, CNN Arabic is perfectly placed to find the facts. This is where stories happen. Politics, business, culture, real life. As the pace of change moves faster, we ask the important question: what is the truth? This is CNNArabic.com.
It was a sweet homecoming for 4 astronauts from the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule. The quartet splashed down off the Florida coast Monday night after spending 6 months at the International Space Station. Welcome home. Well, for the first time in 5 years, the reigning NBA champions have visited the White House. President Joe Biden welcomed the Milwaukee Bucks on Monday, paying tribute to their unity, respect, and teamwork. He praised the group for taking a stand by boycotting a playoff game in 2020 after the police shooting of Jacob Blake in Wisconsin. And the president thanked the Bucks for encouraging their fans to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Well, State Farm Insurance is standing by spokesman Aaron Rodgers despite his misleading comments about his vaccine status. The company says it doesn't support some of the statements he made, but it respects his right to have his own personal point of view. The Green Bay Packers quarterback said back in August that he was immunized against COVID, but he was never actually vaccinated and recently tested positive for the virus. Well, the calendar still says autumn here in the Northern Hemisphere, but winter weather is on the way to the US West Coast. Heavy mountain snow and strong winds are forecast from California to Washington. CNN meteorologist Pedro Javaheri has more. Pedro.
Good Tuesday morning, Rosemary. The activity across the western U.S. continues here, one system after another. Powerful winds, at times wind gusts along the coast of Oregon could get up to close to hurricane force there, about 70 plus miles per hour, while across the interior portion, tropical storm force winds possible at 65 plus miles per hour in some of these regions. And again, you get multiple rounds of wet weather across the area. Get up into the Olympics, get up into the Cascades, about say 3,500 feet. And you'll begin to run into some significant snowfall, and in total over the next 5 days, 18 inches of snowfall possible across parts of the Pacific Northwest. Coastal Oregon, maybe as much as 6 inches of rainfall in store for you. So the activity stays in place, and then look at the surge of warmth in Portland, Oregon. The southerly flow, temps climb up into the 60s, the overnight lows into the upper 50s. Very little variance between nighttime and daytime, which is pretty impressive for this time of year. Now, colder air is on the horizon across the northern plains of the U.S. It has been as mild as it gets. Chicago, flirting with 60 degrees the next couple of days, but notice what happens come Friday. The bottom drops out, and we get not only one shot of colder air late this week, you get a second reinforcing shot, potentially easily going to be the coldest of the season. Notice what happens in Atlanta. Near 80 degrees over the next several days, and then the front comes in, rain ensues, and then by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, overnight lows close to the freezing mark as we approach this time next week. So big changes in store for the next 7 days. Rosie?
Thank you so much, Pedro. Appreciate it. Well, Wall Street had another record-setting day Monday. The three major indices closed with new highs for a second session in a row as investors cheered good employment news and the passage of that infrastructure bill. The Dow gained 0.3%, while the S&P 500 and NASDAQ both closed up 0.1%. Well, Tesla's stock was not part of those gains. It fell nearly 5%. After Chief Executive Elon Musk took a Twitter poll on whether he should sell 10% of his stock in the electric automaker. More than 3.5 million votes came in, with nearly 58% saying he should sell. Musk is facing a multi-billion-dollar tax bill and is likely to sell no matter how the poll turned out. The tweet raises questions about whether Musk is complying with a Securities and Exchange Commission order that his tweets about the company be vetted by a lawyer. And just in case you thought pizza was just for eating, a pizza maker in the Netherlands is turning his slices into skateboards. He basically takes a piece of pizza, treats it, and seals it with epoxy, pours it into a mold, and lets it sit for a few days. Add some wheels, then presto, pizza you can ride. He says he uses leftovers that would be tossed in the trash otherwise, so it is sustainable too. Well, if watching from outside the US, join us tomorrow for the first ever Call to Earth Day. CNN is partnering with schools, individuals and organizations around the world to raise awareness of environmental issues. It will be a day of action dedicated to conservation, environmentalism and sustainability. Follow us online and on TV, and follow the hashtag Call to Earth on social media. Thank you so much for your company. I'm Rosemary Church. Be sure to connect with me on Twitter anytime at RosemaryCNN. Would love to hear from you. Early Start is up next. You're watching CNN. Have yourselves a fabulous day.
Tire. Dynamic performance. Comfort. Durability. Braking. Stability. Matchless performance, delivered by perfect balance. Dynamic performance. Kumo Tire.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. I'm excited to let you know that my digital show Full Circle is back. You can watch every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. live Eastern Time or anytime on demand. And to make sure you never miss a show, you can get alerts on every episode via the CNN app. I'll see you then.
There are so much opportunities on the continent. There are so much amazing people on the continent.